Alright, next one on the hit list. There's two that are identical. This one's still in the box. It's actually got all the paperwork and stuff in there, but it's essentially, well, not essentially, they are identical. So this one actually has a brand on it. It's Kaito. And it's AM FM. It's got a selector switch on the side here, off AM FM, and it actually has a dial to tune it. And the reception's not completely terrible, but I played with it earlier for a little while, and it's not very good either. It's not very selective. It definitely, it's a super touchy too. I mean, because the FM band's a little bit more crowded anyway. So the tuner it's kind of stiff, so you really have to be it's a little finicky. So I mean, so far this definitely is not what I would call the pick of the litter. It is very small though, and you compare it to the other one that I just did. I mean, it is very, very small. So that part I like. The battery door is actually hinged, so it doesn't detach. It only takes 2 batteries instead of 3. So there's a few positives. It does have a headphone jack on it, and it does have an external antenna. But yeah, the reception didn't really seem, it's not, I wouldn't say it's like poor necessarily. I've definitely had worse radios when it comes to reception, but it's definitely not, it's not really good enough where it's something that I think I wouldn't necessarily want to use. But the power consumption may be very low with it, so that might be a positive. But I don't think I'm going to check it, because with these may be center tapped for 2 different voltages. I don't know. It may use 1.5 volts and 3 volts. I don't know. So I'm not sure I want to go through the trouble of trying to figure that out. Here's the website for this company, and I thought I would share this because it's fairly interesting. This is their About Me. It says it's based on Montclair, California. And then, yeah, the grammar is really, really terrible. With these features, we are proudly to be the GSA. And then there's an opening parentheses, and then there's never a closing parentheses. And then it goes on. The last sentence, it really falls apart. With the appreciation letter and a flag that flown in the fighter in the Middle East for the patriot to the country United States of America. I mean, it definitely sounds like it's been ran through some translation software. But this company makes, I mean, they actually, they have a website, and they've got quite a few radios and stuff on here. And I think they still sell this model. I think you've seen it, and it was like $14. But I mean, they've got some kind of neat looking radios on here, honestly. I mean, that one's got a crank on it. That's kind of nifty. Long wave, short wave, AM, FM. I like the fact that some of them are yellow, but that's just a personal preference. So, I don't know, it kind of looks, I mean, it's kind of neat, honestly, that somebody's still making this stuff. And they have multimeters. I noticed that too. Digital, analog. I've never heard of their multimeters, and I don't know how interested I am in purchasing one, but I thought it was just kind of odd or neat that they make them, I guess. But I will take this apart, and we will look at the ICs and the circuit board and see what's inside of it. Getting it apart wasn't too complicated. There's two screws in the battery compartment, and then at the top there was one here that was exposed, and this one was under the quality control sticker. So that one was a little bit tough to find. But once you get the screws out, you also have to, very similar to the last one, the top piece has to be pried apart or the two halves won't come apart. This circuit board is almost like a one-sided board. I mean, there's really nothing but silk screen on this side. So this is the tuner. There's a crystal, I think, or I don't know why there would be a crystal. Couple of electrolytics, the LED indicator, and your antenna coil. And the circuit board here, you've got, there's basically two ICs to note. This one is the audio amplifier. This is an LM4871 audio amplifier, which is, I believe, pretty similar to like an LM386. It says it was a 3-watt audio amplifier. And this IC is for the radio function. And what makes this kind of cool is, instead of being most ICs for radio that I've seen, when it's kind of like one of these all-in-one type solutions. I mean, this one has kind of everything built in except the audio amplifier. It even has a low dropout voltage regulator built in, but it's not digitally tuned. It's tuned through this, which is actually a potentiometer. It's a 100K potentiometer, and then this little gear just kind of moves the indicator back and forth. So there's not actually a dial cord. So just take a look at the at that IC. Supposedly made by Skyworks. I don't know if the one that's in it is maybe a knockoff or if it really is made by this company. But it supports this particular radio doesn't have that functionality, but it supports AM, FM, shortwave, and it supports China TV audio carriers. So I don't know what frequency those are on. And it also, the LED indicator it works when there's a strong station tuned in. It will light up the LED indicator, and that's supported by the IC. So looking at the block diagram, I don't exactly know what I don't know what automatic frequency control is. I don't quite understand that. Maybe it's kind of like a voltage controlled oscillator, and it's being held steady or something by, I don't know, maybe there's a PLL involved or something. I don't really know, and I don't think this data sheet's real super specific about how this works. That portion anyway. But you've got your low dropout voltage regulator here, between 2.0 and 3.6 volts. So again, you couldn't use an 18650 battery unless you had a external step down regulator. And then up here we've got, this is where our antennas come in. And then we've got a low noise amplifier, automatic gain control. I don't know what that block does. 0 to 90. Yeah, I don't know what that does. Yeah, it looks like there's a mixer. Oh, here it actually says Xtal. Yeah, this must be a volt. I'm assuming that's some type of oscillator. I don't. Maybe it's externally volt. Maybe the crystal is for this. I guess we could look in a second to see if this requires a crystal. The control interface, so it basically just supports stereo station tone RST. So those are the kind of like the different, I guess, yeah, those are outputs. And when I read the description, it says that you can actually change the treble and the bass with this IC, but that radio didn't have this functionality. And so after the analog to digital converter, you got your digital sound processor, and that's where your control interface for your tone would be. And then it gets converted, the digital signal gets converted back to analog through the digital to analog converter. I'd like to see if it does require that crystal or not. This is not super important, but would kind of like to know if it shows a typical circuit. Yes, it does. Is there a crystal? Yeah, there is the 100K potentiometer for tuning. So again, it's mechanically tuned, which is kind of neat because you wouldn't really expect to see that these days. But there's antenna. I'm assuming there is a crystal somewhere, but I don't. Yep, right there, 32.768 kilohertz. So the last IC I looked at, interestingly, used that same clock speed, but had quite a different set of features. So yeah, I guess that it does require that crystal. I tried to find these for sale, and so these I could find them on DigiKey and Mouser. They're around $2 to $250 for one. On eBay, it's quite expensive with shipping. It's $12 from China for one, and I don't even know if it's actually made by Skyworks or if. And most ICs you get on Amazon, you can't count on them being real. They're generally fakes. They're that work. Some of them will work pretty well, but doesn't mean they're genuine. LCSC didn't seem to have it. Well, they had it, but it wasn't in stock. So I guess they didn't have it. I would like to order one. I may do it at some point when I think, because there's so many of these radios to go through that when I get done, I'll probably pick out. I mean, I've already ordered one, so I'll probably pick out maybe one or two other ICs depending on cost and availability, and probably build up a couple of circuit boards with them and just kind of play with them. And this one, again, is the only thing interesting is the mechanical tuning. You don't need a microprocessor for this. You can just hook a 100K pot up to it and you're off to the races. But you do need an audio amplifier with it. So anyway, all right, we'll move on to the next. When I put this back together, we'll move on to the next radio.